What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Cosmic Wonder, where we talk Marvel every day. And you might have heard that Marvel Studios just delayed a bunch of shows and might even go on to cancel some of them as well. And a lot of fans are pretty bummed out because we were really excited for some of these shows, like the Nova series. But what is really going on here is Marvel Studios changing their plans for the rest of the Multiverse Saga, and it's actually really good news, especially for everything coming between Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. So we'll break that down. Plus, we do have a little bit of a closer look as to what these series were going to be about, thanks to some insiders who are now giving us a little insight about what Marvel Studios had planned for these series, including what the stories were, what they had planned for them, including some castings as well. So lots of details to go over in this video. If you missed the original report, it did confirm some pretty big things. This is coming from Deadline, so it's pretty official, and the title of the article reads, Marvel pauses development on Nova, Strange Academy, and Terror Inc. TV series. They say sources stressed to Deadline that these projects were never officially greenlit and may still come to fruition at some point. The studio has simply shifted its priorities at the moment. They say that they're also told the decision is also reflective of a new model for producing television that's emerged at Marvel in recent years. Originally, Marvel approached series development in much the same way it handled features. A slate was announced, and what was teased was more or less what got made. A couple of years ago, senior leadership decided to retool the development process as they were also revamping their new Daredevil series, Born Again. Marvel's new approach to TV development is more traditional, with many more projects being developed than will ultimately be made, and showrunners being brought in to oversee each. Shifting to a more typical greenlit process made sense as the studio looked to maintain audience engagement amid new realities facing the industry. In addition to the prospect of superhero fatigue and content oversaturation, there was the reality of a market contraction, which led the studio to pull back significantly on the amount of projects released each year. So one thing that this confirms is that the Strange Academy project was indeed in the works at Marvel Studios, and technically is still in the works. It's just paused. And I'm sure we're still going to get the Nova series. That's a big one, and they were casting for that. But I do like this shift because I believe this shift is not really just coming from the TV change. Yes, that is a part of it, but it's also because the Russo brothers have come into the MCU now once again to do Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, and that really changed things. And we've talked about this a lot on the channel, that basically Marvel Studios did an entire overhaul on the story that they had previously planned for the Multiverse Saga and Avengers Secret Wars. When the Russo brothers came in, they decided to completely rewrite whatever script they currently had for Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, which is great because originally that script was supposed to be for Kang Dynasty, and I'm sure it was pretty derivative of what that original script was going to be. Like, I'm sure they kept parts of the script for Kang Dynasty and simply replaced Kang with Doom, but now they are completely starting over from scratch, and the script's not even finished yet. It's pretty close from what we hear, but the big part about this is it affects everything in between Doomsday and Secret Wars, and that is more along the reason that Marvel Studios has decided to delay some of these shows until after Avengers Secret Wars, because right now the story for Avengers Doomsday is being wrapped up, and then they're going to go into writing the story for Avengers Secret Wars, and I'm sure they're going to be working on both of those stories simultaneously. It's going to be pretty much just like Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. It's kind of going to be a two-parter. That's originally how Infinity War was supposed to be. There was supposed to be a part 1 and a part 2. They dropped the part 2 and simply gave us Endgame, but it still basically was that. Part 1 and part 2, and that's pretty much how Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars are going to be. Now, moving forward, yes, Marvel Studios is going to be making these changes to their TV department, and I'm sure some changes are going to be coming to their movie department as well. And so far, their new plan and the new changes they've made, I think, is a really good idea. And you really kind of got to give Marvel Studios credit here for deciding to postpone these and probably other projects as well for the sake of the ending of the Multiverse Saga. Everything that we see from Doomsday to Secret Wars should all be super connected. And some of these projects don't exactly make sense to release between those times, because right now, we do have a lot of TV series coming out. We have Ironheart, we have Wonder Man, we have a bunch of animated projects coming out. Of course, Daredevil Born Again comes next month, and we have Vision Quest, which I believe is coming because that's going to set up the return of Vision and the Scarlet Witch. But all of those should pretty much take us to Avengers Doomsday. Maybe they have a few shows thrown in between Doomsday and Secret Wars, but basically putting everything on hold to focus on this particular multiverse story to end this saga is a great idea, especially since there has been no build up to Doom whatsoever so far. And a project like Strange Academy wouldn't exactly make sense. In the comics, it's a school that Doctor Strange founded. Now we know in the MCU was going to be a school that Wong founded, and we've kind of already seen that in Multiverse of Madness. We've seen his proteges. But given everything that's about to go down in the Multiverse Saga with Doom and Secret Wars, it doesn't really make sense to have a project focused on Wong teaching new students. He's gonna be very busy, you know, trying to save the multiverse and all. It also might feel very, very rushed to introduce Nova right now as well. It would be really cool to have him in Avengers Secret Wars, but a new era is coming after the Multiverse Saga, and it'll be really cool to have Nova be a main character. So again, I like this change that Marvel Studios has made, but if you were wondering what we were going to get from these shows, thankfully insider Daniel RPK, who has talked about these projects before they were even confirmed by the trades or by Marvel Studios, he was talking about them, and now he has told us what these shows were going to be about. He says the Nova show was planned to be led by Ed Bernero, a writer and producer known for Criminal Minds. The story would have focused on Richard Rider, the hero Nova, in the aftermath of Thanos' attack on Xandar. Following the destruction of his home planet, Rider would take on the responsibility of rebuilding the Nova Corps. As Rider tries to restore the core, he would face the threat of Annihilus and his destructive annihilation wave, which would threaten the universe. Rider's team would include other Nova, such as Sam Alexander, a younger Nova, along with some new original characters in their 20s. The show was also eyeing big names like Austin Butler to play Richard Rider, and it had plans for Glenn Close and John C. Reilly to reprise their roles from the Guardians of the Galaxy films. They would return as Nova Corps characters, adding continuity with the established Marvel Cinematic Universe. So they would return, so they clearly didn't die, which is cool. And I would hope that we would get some sort of a flashback scene of Thanos actually decimating Xandar. That would be really cool to see. He says the concept of Strange Academy was pitched as Marvel's take on the popular wizarding school genre, drawing comparisons to Harry Potter and Netflix's Wednesday. It would have focused on magic, mystical adventures, and the challenges of being a young sorcerer under Wong's mentorship, blending the supernatural with the high-energy, coming-of-age drama that's common in movies like Harry Potter. And I gotta say, that would definitely be really cool to see, but again, I don't think they could really release that between Doomsday and Secret Wars. So I hope they keep it for after and we end up getting the show. He also talks about the Terror Inc. and says the show was being developed by Peter Cameron, who worked on Carnival Row and WandaVision. The series was going to be very different from other Marvel shows, leaning heavily into horror. It would have followed the character Terror, an immortal anti-hero with a unique and gruesome ability. He can attach the body parts of others to himself, gaining their abilities, memories, and powers in the process. This dark, mature-themed series was described as a full-on horror show designed for an adult audience. The show would have explored Terror's violent and unsettling way of gaining power and the consequences that come with it. Additionally, there were rumors that Terror was set to be a part of the Midnight Suns film, a darker Marvel project that was previously in development, suggesting that this character could have tied into a broader, supernatural side of the MCU. Daniel RPK also ended his report by stating, "So why the pause? Marvel is taking a different approach now. They won't greenlight a series until they see a pilot they're satisfied with. They also want to focus on grounded and cheaper shows." And honestly, this is kind of just a no-brainer. I mean, look at how much money Disney spent on The Acolyte for a lot of people to really not like it. But a lot of money was spent on it. So yes, make sure a show is good first before you decide to throw just a ton of money at it. Plus, also, hopefully a lower budget for these shows will have them focus more on the actual story. That way we can get better shows. So overall, I really like the strategy Marvel Studios has going for them right now. It does suck that we aren't going to get the Nova series or Strange Academy anytime soon. I can live without Terror Inc. I'm not a horror guy, but for those who would like it, sorry it's been delayed and maybe even canceled. But if it gives us a better ending to the Multiverse Saga, I am all here for it. And if it gives us better projects moving forward in the MCU in general, that's a great thing. However, go ahead, let me know your personal thoughts in the comments down below. And please don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest Marvel news, rumors, or leaks. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.